You're live.
Okay.
Good evening. We are calling the monthly Kingsbury Country Day School Board meeting. Thank you for bearing with us as we are working through our technology of our new live stream. I am now calling that meeting to order. It is currently 6:03 p.m. We're getting some feedback, so I'm gonna okay, thank you. Allie, would you please take it?
Yes, Jody Quisenberry,
Present.
Sandy Buckley, Adam Stewart is absent, Kyle Jackson is also absent, Dora Higby,
Present.
and Mike Leislick.
All right, very good. We have a forum, so we will proceed. At this time, I'm going to ask everybody stand. We are going to say the Pledge of Allegiance and the KCDS Pledge. Unfortunately, today we are not joined by any students, but hopefully we will have some for next month. So at this time, the Pledge of Allegiance.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States, to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice.
And now moving on to the KCDS Pledge. I pledge to be respectful, responsible, and safe. I will work hard to be my best as a student and a member of the community. I have the power to make a difference at Kingsbury and in the world. All right, thank you, everybody. At this time, I'm going to open the floor for any public comment regarding the agenda items only. For any public comments regarding the agenda item.
I might add here, as we're new to live streaming, that that the live stream is just for video. The board does not have conversations while in the meeting. So if anyone is newly joining our channel, I just want to make sure that it's the same way. If you want to make public comment in a board meeting, you would be here, sign in. So.
Great, very good. So if anybody who is present that would like to make a public comment regarding the agenda items only. Right, at this time, I would entertain a motion to either amend or approve the agenda as.
So moved.
To approve?
Yeah.
All right, very good.
I'll
It has
second.
been moved and it has been seconded. Is there any discussion regarding the agenda? Hearing no discussion, all those in favor of approving. Aye. All those opposed, please say nay. The motion carries unanimously. At this time, and this is going to be a little bit interesting because we have two videos going. We are joined today by Manifesterian for our audit report presentation. And that is a separate document for the board members here. And I would like to welcome Ryan from Manifesterian to our board meeting this evening. And I'm sorry, I don't have your last name. So. Can you hear me, Ryan?
Hear me, Laura?
Yeah. Yeah, I have.
Yes, I am sorry, Ryan. You are correct. You're muted. We are doing it's our first time doing the live stream, so we were worried about some feedback. So thank you for your patience and for reading my lips, but I want to welcome you to our board meeting. And at this time, I'm going to ask that you proceed with your audit report presentation.
Okay, the audit, the big PowerPoint in front of you.
We are seeing that.
All right, perfect. All right, so go ahead and introduce myself. My name is Ryan Kramer. I'm the auditor here for Manifesterian, an audit associate there. I've been with Manifesterian for a little over 3 years now. I've worked with Brian before on some other schools, and this is our first year working with all of you. So thank you very much for having me here, and let's dig into the 24-25 school year numbers here. So just want to start with a quick overview for the school year. There's some additional state categorical funding that charters received. That's just 170L educator compensation program. It's a big one. And then there's also some new unrestricted state funding specific to charters that were received. 28 charter school for people payments on Kingsbury's case of probably 46,000 this year. So good little boost there with some unrestricted state funding. And I guess just something else new during this year is those after a few years of the pandemic, ESSER relief funding that wrapped up during this year as well. So moving along to the independent auditor's report on the financial statements, this comprises pages 1 through 3. This is where we as auditors issue our opinion over these financial statements. This year we had an unmodified opinion, which is the highest level of assurance that we as auditors provide. But we believe that these financial statements are presented fairly in all material respects. The financial statements, which comprise pages 4 through 9 of the financials. Really like to tell boards that if you're just looking for a good overview of activity, you don't want to look at every single page of the financial, you just want a good highlight of activity. Here, these are the pages to look at. In particular, on page 7, you'll see the comparative statement of net position, figure A3. Also on this slide here, these statements of net position are on the full accrual basis of accounting. So they would include your capital assets, any debt, long-term obligations related to lease activity. All that stuff will be on these statements of net position. The total assets from 24 to 25 increased, mainly due to an increase in capital assets and an increase in cash. So the increase in capital assets will also tie in line with the increase in liabilities, because there's an increase in non-current liabilities due to lease obligations. So GASB 87 had an impact on the academy this year. There's 3 new bus leases. So you have a new capital asset for those bus leases, and then you have a corresponding lease obligation for those bus leases as well, which led to both assets and liabilities increasing during the current year. But overall, there was still a positive increase in that position. So a positive year on the full accrual basis of accounting. So moving along to the comparative statement of changes in net position, also on page 7 and figure 84 on this slide. This shows the changes in revenue and expenses from year to year. You'll see both revenue and expenses increase in 24-25 due to additional federal and state funding and their corresponding expenses. There was the new state funding. State was up about 75,000. Fed was up about 86,000 this year. For the corresponding expenses relating to recognizing both state categoricals and federal expenditures. Overall, there was an increase in net position of 206,197. Move along to the first fund level financial statement, which is the balance sheet on page 13. These fund level financials differ from the ones on the past couple slides because they're on the modified accrual basis of accounting. So they wouldn't include those capital assets or lease obligations that I previously talked about, because these are on the modified accrual basis of accounting. So those are omitted out of here as far as being on, the asset and liability side. So this shot on slide here shows the major fund to the general fund, as well as the non-major fund, which is the student activity fund. One thing I'll highlight here is under fund balances, you see a little assigned for subsequent year expenditures in the general fund there of 164,305. That just simply means that the academy has implemented a 25-26 school year budget, anticipating expenditures exceeding revenues by that amount. So what happens is you assign fund balance to be able to meet those forecasted expenditures. Just wanted to explain that item, because sometimes we get questions over what that item means, but that's what it does. So moving along to the next fund level financial statement, this is the statement of revenue, expenditures, and changes in fund balances, which comprises pages 15 and 16 of the financials. Also just have a snapshot on the slide of the changes in fund balance for the funds. Overall total revenues are about 4.41 million this year. Total expenditures were about 7 million. And then there was also some other financing source of 192,435 that applies to the new vehicle, the new bus leases. So on the fund level, you have proceeds from lease there with your other financing source, and that proceeds then get capitalized as a ready-use asset, and then a corresponding lease obligation on the government line. That's how that flows, and that's what the financing source represents. But overall, total academy fund balance increased 231,500 this year, but 228,687 increase in the general fund. So positive year on both fund level and the government line. So good to see that both on the accrual and modified accrual basis of the county having a solid positive year. So and then a key performance indicator we always like to do is fund balance and the general fund balance and the percentage of operating expenditures. This just gives a good snapshot of the health of the general fund. State average in its metrics, about 15 to 20%. This year for the academy came in at like 42%. So, decent amount above that average. Sometimes smaller charter schools can, fluctuate above that average a bit, but I would say 42% is still a very solid, healthy fund balance there, in comparison, and especially with a positive year on the modified accrual at full basis. Definitely a solid, healthy fund balance. But moving along to some of the notes, the financial statements, this comprises pages 18 through 28. We'll take you through every single page here, but I'll just highlight a few of the key notes to highlight here. So first, you'll see the capital project 4, which will be on page 25 for you all. To have this snapshot of the note here on this slide. So overall, the only additions to capital assets this year would be the new bus leases. There's 3 bus leases, so they'd be right-of-use vehicles for about $192,435. That's the only addition. There wasn't any disposals during the year, and then depreciation / amortization expense was approximately $49,000 during the school year 2025. Moving along to the long-term obligations now, which will coincide with those bus lease assets there. This is on page 25 and 26. So the academy previously didn't have any obligation, and then the addition for having those 3 new bus leases put these obligations on the book, and then the academy paid down on these leases by about $39,044, leaving a balance of $153,391 outstanding on these 3 bus leases as of June 30th, 2025. Moving along to a couple other notes to highlight. This will be on page 27 for these 2 notes. The academy incurred oversight fee expenses from Saginaw Valley State University of approximately 97%, based on calculation of state aid, 2% state aid, and then also note 8, the management agreement note. The academy incurred management fee expense from Choice of approximately $427,000 during the school year 2025. Then a couple other things just wanted to highlight here. These will be on page 28 for some upcoming accounting announcements. So the GASB loves to issue new statements. They've issued a lot of them over the past few years, and just wanted to keep you all updated on kind of what's coming down right here over the next year. Both these new statements will be in effect for the 25-26 school year, so next year's audit. It will be statement number 103, financial reporting model improvements. That page has a full description of it. I'll just give you a quick description here. It basically is setting certain structures, the MD&A section of the financial statements, and the RSI page for the general fund budgetary comparison schedule. Like one item they're going to want, I believe, is they're going to want bullet points on that RSI page to kind of describe significant variances between the original budget, the lowest spot in the budget actual. So my advice would just be, if it seems like there's items that are varying a lot between original final and then final to actual, maybe just jot a little explanation why it might help us next year and kind of preparing those statements and making sure we're aligning with the new standard there. But overall, I don't anticipate this one having too much of an impact. Not anywhere close to the impact that we've seen with GASB 87 and 96, especially 87, which had a big impact on the academy this year for setting up those 3 lease obligations. And then number 104, disclosure of certain capital assets. I expect this one to have basically no impact. This just basically means if you have GASB 87 or 96 type assets, that you describe them on the capital assets footnote by their major asset class. At our firm, we've already been doing that in this regard, and on these statements, we did that as well by calling it a right-of-use vehicle, because that's what it is, because they're bus leases. So that's basically what that just means. It's just you disclose it by asset class. We've already been treating them that way at our firm anyways, so that one will barely have any impact, if any. But 103 will have a little bit of an impact, but we'll make sure to assess the academy and make sure everyone's on the same page and everyone's in alignment with the new standard when that takes effect on next year's audit. Moving along to the budgetary comparison schedule for the general fund. This is page 30, that snapshot here on the slide. You'll see there was a positive total budget to actual variance of 119,594, mainly due to expenditures pretty much across the board coming in a little bit less than the final budget, which led to that overall positive variance. State revenue was pretty much in line with final budget. It's a little bit less state revenue than expected, but mainly the positive variance was caused by pretty much almost every expense category being a little under that final budget. Moving along to the report on internal control over financial reporting. This is on page 31 and 32. This is where, while conducting our audit, if we had any significant deficiencies or material weaknesses identified while auditing the financial statements, this is where we would report those. And I'm happy to say we didn't have any significant deficiencies or material weaknesses identified while conducting the audit. So that we believe the academy is strong leadership in place. Want to give a shout out to Ryan, worked with him quite a bit. The other schools, he always does a good job getting everything together for us, and I appreciate all his effort getting this one together for us. This was a new school for us. We definitely appreciate, him getting us up to speed and allowing us to get through everything and get a product out timely to all of you here. So thank you all very much for having me. We appreciate being of service to you all, and I'm happy to answer any questions anyone might have on these financials. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Ryan. Can you hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you.
Okay, very good. Does anybody here on the board have any questions with respect to the Minor Custodian audit report that was just presented?
My comment would be thank you very much. And walking us through it was very simple, easy to follow. And I appreciate that. And I think we need to thank Brian, of course, for shepherding us through the year and keeping us between the yellow lines, as it were. And also Sue Mallard, who had to go through a lot of change this year from how we used to do things in 24 versus how we did them in 25. And getting that transition through without any hiccups. And I know Dora's always concerned about that fund balance, but we are at 42. Thank you for, approving the things we wanted to do. We had some concerns about dipping in, but we ended up in a really good place. So this is, for our first year with choice, we were able to also significantly improve teacher salaries while running the business, as it were. So I think that's to the credit of everybody at Kingsbury. And I just wanted to make sure I said that out loud too, or something.
Thank you, Sandy. I also want to call attention to our financial subcommittee, who half of them aren't here at the Sandy and Jackson both helped, I think, get Brian kind of up to speed on a lot of stuff and get us situated in the right spots to be where we're sitting at. Especially with being able to increase compensation the way that it was done. So again, I do want to thank you, Ryan. And if we don't have anything else for Ryan, may we excuse him?
Yeah, yep.
Thank you very much, Ryan. We appreciate your time, and we will, I'm sure, see you in the future.
Awesome.
It was nice. Thank you. It was very nice meeting you. All right. One less technical thing that we have to do now. So hopefully that was audible to everybody that was
The speaker is right there, so it should have been. Yeah.
Good, it was good. So moving right along to item 7, the approval of minutes. At this time, I would entertain a motion to either approve or amend the minutes.
Can we go back to the draft? I have
You
to,
probably would like me.
I would like
accept
to,
the
yeah.
All right, so. Moving to that, right? So at this time, I would entertain a motion to approve the audit report presentation that was just done.
So moved.
Sandy moves. Is there a second? Mike seconds. It has been moved and seconded. Is there any further discussion regarding the audit report presentation? And again, I do want to thank everybody that was involved in that, from the board choice, everybody that had to work on it here at Kingsbury and learning the new system. With that, hearing no further discussion, I will call for a vote. All those in favor of approving that audit report, please say aye.
Aye.
Any opposition, please say nay. Hearing no opposition, we have approved that audit report. Now I will move on to item 7, the approval of the September 15 minutes. And I would ask or entertain a motion to either modify, amend, or approve the meeting minutes.
I want to make a motion to amend, modify, 2 things specifically. Jeff Driscoll was not in attendance at the September meeting, so he needs to be removed. And in the verbiage, as we go through all the meeting minutes, every vote says that we had 6 yes, and there were 6 people voting. There were only 5 board members here, so that every place you see a 6, I think needs to mention 5.
There's an additional person.
I'm sorry?
Yeah, correctly stated on here, then Mike Eastlick was absent, and that was correctly stated, and then Jeff Driscoll
Yep.
being the second.
Yep.
And the other 5 were actually here, so.
Yep.
But I think, where we've said who made motions, who supported is accurate. It's just the number, it's 5 yes and 0 no, for example.
Yep.
Okay, so it has been moved to amend the meeting minutes for September 15th, 2025. Is there a second?
Joel seconds.
Dora seconds. Is there any further discussion regarding amending those meeting minutes? All those in favor of amending the proposed minutes from September 15th, 2025, please say aye.
Aye.
Any opposition, please say nay. Hearing no opposition, those meeting minutes have been amended. At this time, I would entertain a motion to approve the amended September 15, 2025 meeting minutes.
So moved.
Dora moves. Is there a second? Second. Sandy seconds. It has been moved and seconded to approve the amended meeting minutes for September 15, 2025. All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Any opposition, please say nay. Hearing no opposition, those amended meeting minutes have been approved. Moving right along to board correspondence. I received correspondence from Jeff Driscoll indicating his resignation from the Kingsbury Country Day School Board. SVSU has been made aware of the correspondence, and they are working through their processes and policies, and the board will be continue to communicate with SVSU to learn when they are going to post the open seat for the board. So we will let the community know upon the open application for that open seat. But as of right now, we are not accepting, or SVSU is not accepting.
Right, they have to go
application.
through the notification receipt process and such, yep.
There are a few things that they have to do on their end first. Has anybody received any additional communication as a board member between last month and this month? All right, moving right along to finances. September 2025 financial statements.
Right, through September, just, the key part is there's no state aid in September. The state does not pay, any schools in September. The New Year's first payments are October. They run October to August. So it's to note that, cash flow, we did not have to touch the money market account. So that money was left alone, and we were able to get through operations, without having a transfer coming out. So the $1 million, $32 is still sitting, $1,032,000 is still sitting in money market. It's earning over $2,000 a month in interest, which is huge for this, adds $24,000 a year in revenue. The operation account was still just under $400,000 in September. The activity picked back up to the school starting out, preschool tuition, athletic dues and fees, transportation fees, all rolled through as you see on the summary sheet. I won't touch on the golf outing. I'll save that for the new business under, or old business under 11A with the fundraising. And then during the month, we spent down the rest of the 35J grant. It's for the literacy improvement, Savas learning curriculum, iPads and Chromebooks that went towards that curriculum piece. And then the security system and alarm upgrade was the third payment was all made. So those all should be up and running at this point. And then the only other note, the state finally passed the budget and we got an additional $50 and we officially approved back in June. So not much, but that's it for September. October state aid hit today. It is still based on last year's count, but our, as far as the budget process, once the official count's certified, we'll internally do an amended budget with the finance committee and then bring something to the board, January officially. But, the count came in higher than what we budgeted, so we don't see any, we should come in better than what we brought in June. So
Remind me, what was the account number for count day?
335.
for this count day, but we built the budget from spring count day.
Yeah.
So more students enrolled.
Okay. Else regarding the September financials? Relatively an event.
Yes, it's always good.
So at this time, I would entertain a motion to approve the September 2025 financial statements. So, is there a second?
Second.
Mike seconds. It has been moved and seconded. Is there any further discussion regarding those financial statements? Hearing no further discussion, all those in favor of approving the September 2025 financial statements, please say aye. Aye. Any opposition, please say nay. Hearing no opposition, those September 2025 financial statements have been approved. Investments, finances, now in B, there's investments. Who am I looking to?
That was just regarding the money market account that Brian included in there. So the,
Okay.
But I think it is really important to note that we're doing what we can from a self-help standpoint to try and generate more funds to do the things that we need to do as a school. So, and as Brian highlighted, I mean, that's huge to be able to make use of.
how much did you say per month?
Sometimes the statements for how it falls, like
Yeah.
sometimes it doesn't show any, like this in September, 4,531 for August, September interest.
Okay,
So
so
about
generally
2,250 a
2,000.
month.
Yeah.
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 And we're restricted where we can put the money, like as far as I think it's pretty good rate for a money market with the banks. So we could, there's probably it's got to be, it can't be at risk. It's basically we can't like play the stock market with it or things like that where we can lose money. It can sit in a CD. But I think with Kyle and what's happening with the bank, I think that's what the best situation we're in because we can take the money out if we need it.
Which is the most important.
Yeah.
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 Yep.
So it's liquid, but it's still making money on it. So
Well, thank you very much.
Yep.
Moving on to academics. And the academic subcommittee did meet last Wednesday to discuss.
Yep, nope, I got that one. So on page 25 is the presentation we went through with the subcommittee. Okay, I will talk really loud.
Teacher voice.
No, I'm okay. I'm okay. So starting on page 26, this is M-STEP data for all 3rd through 8th. At the bottom, it tells you which test was done. So ELA, math, science, and social studies. And this is the percent passing for those different grades. We do see that there is a very low area between 4th, 5th, and 6th grade for mathematics. And then English language arts, 4th grade, had a lower number there as well. Another chart that you can see on page 27 shows the proficiency over time. So this follows that same subgroup of students. So if you're looking at the left, this is going to be ELA. So if you see the blue, that's the same group of kids minus any kids who left or joined. You would see their proficiency.
It does include the kids who joined.
But not the ones who left.
Yep.
Yep. So you can see the progression with that. On the left is ELA, on the right is math.
So it's important to note here that you can see 4th
That
grade
is on
year
both.
after year after
Yes.
year, but it's different kids. So this report, which we're just gathering information, you'll be moving forward soon. In the next several years, you'll have a big grid and you'll be able to see this. But this allows you to see the tracking of the data with the majority of the cohort of kids, depending on new students and those who have left. So
The back side of that page is the math
just the
again.
math that
It's
left.
just the same. The M-STEP to districts, that is the next report that is in there. The board asked to see how we compared to local districts. So first we have the view of math, which is front and back, and then of ELA. So it goes grade, year, and then KCDS column and then the different districts that we were able to pull and the state as well.
And that goes back to 21, 22. So you can track a little bit more years worth of data compared to the schools that you utilized as part of your strategic plan. So if you recognize kind of that layout, it's because it was the same one that you had requested. So we're going to keep maintaining this so that you can see long-term comparisons.
I don't want to jump in, but somewhere do we come up with some recommendations about what some of the schools that are outperforming us are doing, what we could do differently here to make improvements?
Yeah, those are pieces that we have to, there's questions that prompt from this that ask us to go a little bit
Are
deeper.
we going to cover that?
Mhm.
Yeah, okay,
Yep.
sorry.
So that you have the math and the ELA comparisons. Page 33 breaks down just the weights for the index score, which we fall under example 3 because we don't have graduation, we don't have high schoolers, and we don't have a population high enough for our EL students. Our actual index score is on the following page, and it's a 3-year trend, 21 to 24 right now. 2025 will be coming out shortly. MSTEP was just released, and then we'll have that new index score. We do expect to see a small dip in that because we didn't hit our growth in our MSTEP for math. So we are expecting to see a dip in that overall school index.
So we spent a little bit more time during committee talking about this, but that's why we come back and report out. The index, we'll touch base on it again when those are released. But for those of you who want to understand on the committee, those inner workings of what that index even is, we spent some time with them there.
Not, I was just going to ask you to state again what that index is.
So the index, they used to do an A through F, and they got rid of that, and they came out with the index, and they overlapped for a year where we had A through F ratings and an index. So this this tool is meant to show outwardly how the school kind of rates you. However, it's not an apples to apples. So your school index is comprised of multiple factors. And if your school doesn't have some of those factors, like a high school graduation rate or a large enough EL population to call it out for index and look at their growth, they then take those weights and they disperse them into your proficiency and growth. So smaller schools tend to see a smaller index if they don't have some of those extras like gym and some of those additional, having a librarian, not library class, but an actual librarian. And so that we just wanted to break that down because it's not necessarily a fair comparison of everybody, but just to show kind of what that looks like. There's rumor that the A through F could be coming back too and sitting on top of that, which uses different metrics. So more to come. But that's
Always changing.
yeah, kind of the gist of it.
Page 30.
For MSTEP and comparison moving forward, I appreciate all the numbers. Can we get it like in a graph form next time, just so then when we review it, to see the trends versus
Table.
The comparisons.
I love both.
Sure.
And we had discussed possibly adding Romeo to that. Sure, that's
Page 35 shows the school index compared to some of those resident districts as well. If you wanted to see that comparison. And then the last 2 pages are MSTEP growth. You have ELA for 2024 and math for 2024, and then 37 is for 2025. Are specific questions that I can answer on any of the?
How about that? I'll go over kind of where the committee landed with this, and then if there's questions beyond that. So this led us into a conversation about data that I'm not sure historically what you've received before. We've been really trying to be mindful and sharing. The academic committee was great about asking some of those questions to understand it, but you will have a very broad data portfolio built over the next few years as we start collecting that data and housing it. So I don't know if you've seen comparison data to other districts before, but these were some of the districts that the board had requested. We talked a bit in academic committee that there are some students coming and going from Romeo. And so we thought that that might be another district to add. It wasn't one that we had considered during strategic planning, but think that that's a value to start comparing those things. Another question that came up in committee was in response to schools who are maintaining. What is it that they're doing? Let's ask some questions. So then that prompts us to dig in a little bit deeper, right? What is making up their student population? There's a variety of different indicators that impact data, not just that one day when the child took the test. So some things that we're looking into would be, are we comparing similar demographics across the board in some of those districts? What does it look like? Do they have a different type of curriculum than what we have? What's their teacher retention rate? There's a lot of factors that go into that we're starting to dig into. Another piece, looking at the math that came up, that was something that showed right away, is that we are looking for a newer, updated math curriculum. And we are seeking our teams ready to dive into piloting some math, just as while, mind you, they're piloting English right now, they're really eager to find something that they feel like would better align with students. So that's a component of some of the things that we're digging into. Then also looking at the data, is that potential curriculum, does it meet the needs where are those standards that our students aren't hitting? But it also comes back to the reflection of the test environment. So we asked ourselves a lot of questions. What was going on during that time? Well, they had never NWA tested in the spring. So we went from M-STEP with a little bit of overlap to NWA. This year, we will be altering that. That won't be the case anymore. So we recognize that there was probably some test fatigue, definitely some test fatigue between the two. We also want to recognize that it's not that our students don't know the information, because NWA says otherwise. What it likely means, digging into the test more, is that NWA and math starts asking multi-step questions. And so you're answering the math problem through steps, right? So you have not just one opportunity to miss it, you've got 2 to 3 opportunities. And so in looking in new math curriculum, are we looking for those multi-step problems? Does that align with the things? So there's some elements of the test that the students may just not have been familiar with that we could help facilitate bringing those things up, whether it's, just a quick group problem together. There are some schools teach to the test. That's not Kingsbury. And that's an element that I think we all want to cherish and hold. So no desire to teach to the test, but if the test is tricking our kids, then we have an area of opportunity. And those are things that we're looking into with new curriculum and conversations with teachers. So it is a blip in time. You don't change your teaching from M-STEP, you change your teaching from NWEA. So this was a moment in time from a child for each of these tests. So
we talked about also in the subcommittees that the M-STEP, you can't dig behind the numbers. So you can't see where the kids may have been struggling. Whereas with NWEA, there is a deeper amount of information that you can gather to try and figure out, okay, where is this one cohort of students missing this portion, or is it kind of all sporadic? So I think that's something that is important to see as well.
we also did have a grade impacted by teacher loss, and we saw like the same grade with both teachers. So that does impact it over time, right? We've got to fill that gap.
And establishing a solid curriculum is
Well,
help with that.
will absolutely help. Yes. Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Huge focus. Any other questions at the formal steps to?
I just want to say I appreciate the academic subcommittee pulling this together. I don't think we've seen the data presented in a way that makes a little more sense than we've ever seen it before. And we're all gonna try to continue to figure out what is it telling us and how do we take that and apply it to what we need to do.
And we'll continue to share it with minus the added graph. We'll continue to share it in the same ways too, because it's really important that when you only see it a couple times a year, that you're seeing it in the same format. So, but we'll add the graph for
Well,
the
I think
next
it's important too, if you want to make changes and you're gonna bring changes to the board in terms of buying a new curriculum or doing some things different, or you're hiring a new teacher because of a skill set. There's a deficit. I think it's really important to tie all of that kind of thing into what's going on with our kids academically and our population, and we start to weave together and better understanding as a community why we're doing some of what we're doing.
And as always, parents, anybody who is, reviewing these for their own children, don't hesitate to reach out to
the teachers.
teachers, and get your support or the questions answered specifically that you need for your individual. Anything else? All right, moving right along then. Old business, fundraising committee updates.
Yeah, just a couple highlights from the golf outing this year. We did have 103 golfers, roughly about 113 or 14 for golfing and with dinner. Still finalizing some of the expenses and also donations, which is great to say. We even had a donation come in last week for the fundraiser for the outing. So we're rolling everything and working to finalize everything, but I'm happy to report right now that we're safe to say that we're north of 25,000 in proceeds. So big shout out to the community and to our sponsors. Greatly appreciate everyone coming together quickly. I mean, we didn't have as much time as what we had in prior years. So really impressed with the community and everyone stepping up. Also just wanted to call out, also appreciate everyone on the board for contributing time, participation, volunteering. But also wanted to acknowledge Amber DeLisi for helping out, but also Kim Procco, who was instrumental in helping with the entire event, even helping me understand, the ins and outs and working with the trust board. So again, I think it was a great community event.
Ricky Purdy helped a lot
Yeah.
too from the trust,
Mhm.
former trust.
Yep, exactly. So thanks for calling out, Allie. So we are working already on looking for next year as well. So working with the course to figure out dates. And then we'll get an earlier start for this year than what we had, or for next year versus what we had for this year. And then the only other thing is for the subcommittee, be working here with Dora on, with our November subcommittee meeting to start laying out other calendar items. We had some items come up in the golf outing and now, but we're going to get back on track here for November.
Thank you. Anybody have, and thank you, Mike, for your participation in getting the golf outing going under such a short time.
It was fantastic. It was really a fun day. Those who missed it really missed a lot.
Just be prepared for next year.
I know.
You missed this year. Be
Well,
prepared for next year.
that's why we'll have more time, so we'll be able to put it on our calendars
Yes, it was
and
really
block
fun.
it out. It
It
was
was great.
fantastic.
And then I'm sure there will be more updates as the numbers get finalized and perfect. So thank you again, Mike. Anything else with respect to the fundraising committee update here? Okay, moving on to the bus lease. There's
Yep.
page 48.
So the board had requested that we return one of the buses, and initially they had said, okay, return it, keep paying on it until we offload it. Instead, they sent us an agreement that allows us to just pay a final fee And so $2,763 to return the bus. And then once they take the bus back, they will give back the security deposit, assuming that there isn't any damage and it's in pristine condition. So I have signed this, and this is back with Hoekstra. I just want to make sure that the board was aware and that they had changed the agreement on us in a positive way for us. So,
They probably got somebody else to
well, yeah.
use right now.
So there's a lot of lead time on buses. In
Mhm.
fact, 2 of our buses last year were delivered significantly later than planned. So I'm sure that they have somebody waiting.
Absolutely.
And I just want to confirm because Ryan from Management Steering discussed the buses. This termination is not reflected in the.
No, because you still have them. You'll see that
Wanted to
next.
make
Yep.
sure.
So what'll happen, doesn't affect the fund balance, and that turns out it'll show a disposal.
Okay.
And then it's just like writes the asset off, even though it's not really an asset because we lease it, but in the audit's eyes, it's on that combined statement, it's just to show a write off. It doesn't affect fund balance or anything like that. So
Thank you for letting us hear that. So does anybody else have anything on? Please. All right, moving along here, new business, the MSTEP data review, which we covered in academics.
Yep.
So, board meeting calendar, there is a current calendar on page 39, and we had some concerns at previous board meetings. As we all look forward at our calendars about issues making future meetings. Fortunately, there's only 4 of us here, right now, but with that November 17th date, is that November 17th date that work for us here at this meeting? Mike, are you?
I'm good.
Okay, I am set. Sandy? Yeah, should be here. And Dora?
Yep.
Okay, so there's at least the 4 of us, and so that date should remain. Moving into December, are there any conflicts?
That will be done.
Okay, I also have a conflict that evening. Mike, are you able to see it in your calendar? Is there a?
I'm good. I'm good as well.
should be
Last day
good?
of school is the 19th, am I correct?
Correct.
Mhm.
Half day on the 19th.
When do you need your goodies?
Tomorrow.
Be a January goodie if you want.
Yeah, they
No,
could be
no,
January.
no, I'll get it. When do you need them?
I think if we had it that week, a lot of times there's different.
So if
things
I
going
brought
on
it up the Friday before, like on the 12th?
Yeah.
Would that be bad?
It's never bad to receive. Let me be clear. Get you all the, can I
Text
email
me.
you and text you?
Or whatever
Yep.
you mind doing.
Yep, I will get you
Whatever
the
works.
numbers.
And then our January board meeting, it already presumed to have a conflict, so we moved that meeting to the Thursday, January 22nd. Yes, so is there conflicts in that January date? I know that it's a Thursday, but we did that because that week was a
Martin
short
Luther
week, and
King, yeah.
Yeah, and there's conflicts on that.
Okay.
Okay, I'm able to make it, Sandy?
I should.
Yeah, I think I'm good.
Okay, and then moving on to the February board meeting, February 19th.
I cannot.
And that
That's
is
on
also
Thursday.
moved, yeah, that is also moved from our Monday time slot to the Thursday.
Sure.
So Sandy,
Winter,
you are a no.
midwinter break.
How long is the midwinter break?
It's just the extra weekend.
Oh, okay.
Okay, so- I'm sorry, Mike, did I ask you already?
For February, I'm good.
Okay, I'm good. All right, and I am good, so we will
With Kyle and Adam, we
check
should be.
in with
Mhm.
Kyle and Adam to
Yeah.
confirm that February 19th, we'll have to do the same as well for the December 15th date, just to confirm to keep those.
Yep. And we'll have reconfirmation in next month for December. So if they were not going to be here, we would just want to connect with them before that meeting so that we can make an adjustment if need be.
And if, I'm kind of, I'm offline after the 15th of December.
Oh, good
For
to
a
know.
week.
So it
Okay.
couldn't be later.
Well,
Yep.
at least a week, I would say.
Yeah. Yep.
So.
Okay.
You'll get it, you'll get it.
So then no action is needed. I just wanted to make sure that a few people had brought up scheduling conflicts. I want to put it on there.
Thank you for putting that in there, and then let's keep it on for the next meeting as well, so we can. The pay transparency report, new business.
Yeah. So, House Bill 5269 was passed. And so what that did, it requires all public school academies, urban high school academies, schools of excellence, and strict discipline academies to post specific salary information to the academy's transparency page. So that's the little mitten up there. And so we've gathered that information below, and I'll kind of talk through what that looks like. So you'll see union contracts up on some schools. This was regarding charter schools who often don't have that. So they asked a series of questions that I'll go through below for both of you. So average salary for new teachers. So new teacher is defined as an individual holding a teaching certificate for less than 5 years. So they asked us to do the average salary of that. And so that's 43,886.18. That matters because that fluctuates, right? So if we hire 3 new teachers and they're all 5 years and we pay them the 5 years of service, it can blow that number up and make it look like that might not be our starting pay. Same with the other way. If we hired 5 new first-year teachers, then that number would look different. So it's not that the pay changes every year. It just depends on who's in that lot of people that we hired. So just wanted to bring that out. The average salary for veteran teachers, this is for individuals holding teaching certificates for 5 years or more. That's a very large difference. And so the average salary for a veteran teacher is $57,300. Again, that fluctuates. And in a time where we're trying to still maintain course for our salary structure and we're building that out each year, not building it out, but moving our teachers closer to scale each year. So that does impact that number. But again, if you had 1 veteran teacher and all new, it just fluctuates. It's a number that will constantly be moving, not because we're changing how much we pay people, just who's in that group. The other one, the average salary for support staff, this is also a bit of a skewed number, but it's $38,227. If you'll notice the description, this is from paraprofessionals, one-on-ones, food service workers, bus drivers, literacy coaches. That again is a large difference in job description and responsibility. So we post the average, but that in no way can indicate what one particular group in that makes. And then additional notes, data reflects compensation figures from August 25, 2025 to September 12, 2025. And then support staff salaries include all personnel directly supporting students in the listed categories. So this is posted to your website. There's not, it's there now. So.
Okay, thank you.
And do we need to approve this at this point?
Looks like they're saying we should. This will go up. If you denied it, we would look into the data, but we'd still be required to post it. So.
So I would entertain a motion at this time to approve the annual salary transparency report as presented. Sandy moves. Is there a second?
Dora seconds.
And Dora seconds. It has been moved and seconded. Is there any further discussion, regarding that annual salary transparency report? Hearing no further discussion, all those in favor, please say aye. Aye. Any opposition, please say nay. Hearing no opposition, the annual salary transparency report as presented has been approved. So then moving on to board member discussion. This is something that we had previously discussed. I think it was at the end-ish of last year. I don't really know the
yeah.
date, but we were previously a 9-member board and we had approved dropping to a 7-member board with the possible in future even dropping lower to a 5-member board, given the size of our school. And that's just something that we wanted to bring to the table to have a potential discussion here today. If anybody had any thoughts on that, not necessarily looking to have a decision made, but simply have it at the conversation, given our current board member makeup. So does anybody have anything regarding the board?
What does SVSU recommend? And I'm not putting you on the spot in a question like that, but maybe that's something we could, a data point.
Yep.
We could take a look at, and then, so for SVSU schools, the board sizes, and maybe another data point might be choice from the schools that you're managing. What does that look like from your perspective? And then maybe even a drill down to the environmental program schools that are even more similar to Kingsbury. What does that look like?
So I can give you for choice, most of them have dropped down. If they were 7 members, none were 9 members, but we have had some that have been 7 members, and COVID has challenged many people getting volunteers to come out in the public post-COVID. Many of them, I think there's just a couple left that have 7-member boards. As far as the environmental model, I have 1 7-member board who is in the process of reducing to 5 in a similar, they have board members that have been there 10 plus years, but just hard to fill those open vacant spots. So in the next coming months, I will have 1 7-member board and the rest will be at 5. And for the portfolio of our schools, the bulk of them are at 5. But I will get you Saginaw Valley's information and share that back with the board.
Thank you very much.
That's the typical, I wonder what's the best practice too, right, for school our size.
Right, so new business item 12E, overnight field trips.
Yep.
I believe we have
There are 2.
two of them. that
One
were
of them is
separate.
in your packet on page 42,
Oh.
and the other one is a separate. It was in there.
No, I plugged them both into their board packets. Oh, yeah, these are separate. Sorry. These 2.
Now, these are.
Yeah, that's what I plugged
Yeah.
into your board packet, the sides. Yep, Nikki was right. I'm misguiding you.
So page 42 is the proposed 7th and 8th grade spring trip to Boston, April 15th to 18th. There is also an attached tentative itinerary from Gerber Tours, kind of laying out what the students would do during those 3 days. Yeah, 7th and 8th grade. Yeah, it's for 7th and 8th grade.
Yeah.
And the reason we're proposing that this year is to get more attendees to go to the field trip, since it is out of state. And then next year, not have an out of state, but do something in state that more kids would be able to participate in 7th and 8th. So out of state, like Boston or DC, would be every other year. And it would be 7th and 8th combined.
So that everybody will get to go.
Yeah.
Yes.
Okay.
Mhm.
And this is by bus transportation. So that's a little bit different. Unless they flew to DC, this is by bus. But they have a very exciting tentative itinerary for
Do you want to talk
Boston.
about
It
the
does
switch,
then.
like how it kind of manifested itself?
Oh, yeah. So the reason why we switched from DC to Boston is this spring is the 225th anniversary or not anniversary birthday of our states. So they're doing more of a historical, and they learn about Boston in 8th grade and 7th grade. They don't really touch on DC a lot, besides maybe like a small unit, but there is heavy Boston, and the middle school team thought it would be a good trip
There's also
with the
some
anniversary and birthday.
challenges with Washington DC
Yeah.
as we're adjusting. And so there have been some other groups that have put out just notices. It's not that it's dangerous per se, but some things to be aware of while traveling to DC. So it also kind of makes sense at this point to reflect on, is there another really important part in our history that our students would be able to participate in outside of that?
There any other questions about the Boston trip?
Chartered bus.
Yes. Yes. Not Kathy. Kathy's not
different.
going to Boston. Yeah.
To the parents, contract directly with the
Gerber.
tour
With
company.
Gerber.
They pay them directly.
Yes.
No funds run through the academy. It's all.
No, but it's all set up through Gerber and they pay through them.
Really fun.
Yeah.
And because Boston is fun. And we've used Gerber for.
Many times,
Yeah.
DC, Mackinac, many
It's
trips.
a lot easier.
Yeah. Yes, please.
Their field trip, just encourage maybe, setting some fundraising chair that the individual classes, so 7th and 8th grade, that we do the bagel sales.
Mhm.
Talking to some other families, like cost can be a factor of like DC, I know used
Yep,
to be
yep.
an issue. But just encourage maybe.
Yeah.
some-
Other ones, yep. We talked about that actually today
Yeah.
with Cougar Council and how could they, that team start to help raise funds and maybe even talking with the board's financial committee, or sorry, fundraising committee, and seeing how those conversations can go.
Scholarships or
Yeah.
things. We're also going to be, we again met about this afternoon, trying to get a read from families, like a personal email that goes
Yep.
out to people who are not joining and saying like, if going on the trip is a financial burden that you can't overcome, would you be willing to let us know? We will keep all of that information confidential, but then do we go out and find other ways to try to, that would give us an idea of the number where the financial component is the burden versus some other component that we can't control. And then do we, go to one of our other organizations that's raising money for the school and have, I think that there's a lot of things that we can explore to help support.
Can the
that.
kids also raise money themselves?
Yeah.
Mhm.
So
Mhm.
you'll do
Yep,
that
yep.
other than bagels. and
Yeah, those are conversations that we'll start having and stuff to how we can offset it.
turkeys.
Mhm.
My grandkids.
Bake sales and
My grandkids sold turkeys
turkeys.
for
Turkey?
Thanksgiving.
Oh.
It's a little late now, but I mean,
Ham for
oh,
Christmas.
here you go.
Yeah. You have to have them.
Mums.
Yeah.
Yes, mom
Yeah,
sales.
mums, yeah.
I see that Ginger is gonna be in charge of this and there's gonna be a couple more adults, but can parents go? Is that a thing?
We are encouraging the students to go without parents because it is a good time
Mhm.
to grow themselves. If there's extenuating circumstances and we need to have a one-on-one conversation with the family, then I'm definitely open with that with Ginger. If there's different reasons.
Just in a hotel, or are they bus hotel? And because I see there's, they're responsible.
It's the total. Yep. So this is the total for your bus, your hotel, and then any of the museums or anything that they would see is included in that. It's based on how many students per hotel room is if they go with
Meals
the quad,
en
the
route,
triple.
so
Yeah.
Yeah.
So part of the money you
Yeah.
pay holds into an account and the kids are allotted like a certain amount of money when they stop and
Okay.
can utilize it.
Meals en route at your expense.
It was
Yeah.
to and from.
The
Yeah,
to and from on the
But for
bus.
the day, they'll
Yeah.
stop at a restaurant and they'll say, okay, you have.
Here,
And-
yes.
McDonald's.
Yeah, you'll know,
Yes.
the parents will know ahead of time where, the route's gonna take them and where they could potentially stop. But usually McDonald's.
The eighth graders were at the golf outing, sort of caddying, right? Collect the money. Was that they made money? Did they make money?
Yeah, they were 8th graders, I think.
There were 8th graders there, but I don't think they made any money.
They
were
should
being
have.
paid.
They should have. Okay, well, we can check into that part.
Yeah, they were being tipped. I mean. Should have, but they were there and, oh my gosh, they were very good with the community, and that can be a very overwhelming
Yeah,
thing
yeah.
at that age.
Yeah.
And it's probably one of the favorite things that I
They
see.
came-
Things very awesome to keep that, just because you get those kids involved and
they become engaged in the community, so.
They wanted their pizza.
So at this time, I would entertain a motion to approve the middle school class trip, the 2025-2026, 7th and 8th graders to Boston.
So moved.
Is there a second? So Sandy moves, Mike seconds. Is there any further discussion? Hearing no further discussion, all those in favor of approving the Boston trip, please say aye. Aye. Any opposition, please say nay. Hearing no opposition, the Boston trip for 7th and 8th graders is approved for the 2025-2026 school year.
Thank you.
The other field trip is
Yep.
for the 7th grade.
It's the 7th grade annual camping trip on campus. The students go to Tree Runner and Camp Lyell, and they do some team building activities there. Did I say it wrong? And so they learn about Michigan history, Native American culture. There's an outdoor educator that they work with. Lunch is provided at Camp Lyell, and then they spend the night here with a couple teachers.
Marshmallow.
Yep, and do marshmallows and all the fun stuff. So there's 3 adults, and then we're still short on all of the students, but it's looking like all of them will be able to attend.
Is this next week?
It's this week, yes. It's on campus,
Oh, yeah. It's the 23rd to the
23rd and
24th.
24th. Yeah, it's Thursday and Friday. Yes. This was a last minute kind of throw everything plan together.
We did this last year though, right?
We
Parents
did.
and kids
Yeah.
know about it?
Yeah, they do.
No.
No, they did it last year. The picking of the dates, the finalizing of, arranging the tree runner and all of those was the last minute part of it.
So they campus.
To go to
the
Tree
day on the
Runner.
23rd.
Yep.
Yeah.
Correct. The bus, our bus will take them to Tree Runner and drop them off and pick them back up. Just like a normal field trip.
So this, all those, well, entertain a motion before I ask for a vote. So all those in favor of approving the Tree Runner Camp, Runner Park Camp Royale overnight on campus, please, I would entertain a motion for that. So moved. Sandy moves. Is there a second? Dora moves. Dora second. Dora second. It is a move and second. Is there any further conversation or discussion regarding this field trip on the 23rd and 24th? No further discussion. All those in favor, please say aye. Any opposition, please say nay. Hearing no opposition, that October 23rd to October 24th field trip is approved. Yeah. Moving to the next item, is there any other business that we would like to bring to the attention of the board at this time? We do have a Saginaw Valley State University representative present. Is there any update from SVSU?
I apologize for not being here earlier in the school year. I normally am still planning to make 4 school year visits. This is visit 1. I also completed facility walkthroughs of both buildings. And I do that again, have the final spring visit, as well as look at transparency reports at that time as well.
All right, very good.
Probably see you next month.
Very good. Looking forward to it. Thank you for joining us today. And at this time, we are moving on to the management company report, starting with school leader report.
So there's just a few things to point out on this, and then there's a couple loose pages I'll go over next. So my report is on page 45. Upcoming November 3rd, we have our annual environmental conference where 2 of our teachers will be presenting to the rest of the environmental conference participants. Our kindergarten teachers are going to present what it takes to take kindergartners on a hike and what they bring and what it looks like from their perspective. So they're going to present a session for that. Archery club has just wrapped up. Dance club is getting ready to start. And then coding club, yearbook club are in full swing. And then we have a few more sessions of flag football, and that finishes up as well. And then student council met for their first time week and a half, 2 weeks ago. So they're planning out their year. They are also doing a Spirit Week next week. So that's in the newsletter. If you want to know what exactly to wear for each day, refer to the newsletter, and that's courtesy of our student council members. Tomorrow I am doing coffee with the principal at the Higbee House at 8:30, and I'm going to do a parent's perspective of NWEA and what the teachers actually do with the report. So I'll dive into that. It won't be actual data, but it'll be reports that show you what we do from our side. Parent-teacher conferences are also this week as well. The 22nd and the 23rd from 1 to 6 p.m. So if you haven't heard from your teacher, signed up, make sure and do that.
Those are
And
half days.
they are half days, correct. We dismiss at noon on both of those days for teachers to have lunch before the 1 o'clock conferences start. We have hired a 3rd grade teacher. She is hopefully here in the next day or two, Wednesday or Thursday. We've hired Miss Patty Kugler. So she will be starting, like I said, this week in 3rd grade.
She's also a member of community, has been a
longstanding sub, and 2 kids have gone through Kingsbury and 1 is still here in 5th grade. So she is a parent. The other, what I want to point out is the 2 separate sheets, the elective offerings. These were not included in my report, but this is something that the board had asked to see. So I don't know how you have them. If you look semester 1,
the one with the highlight.
okay, yours highlighted too. Okay. So the highlighted one is this year. We have 3-day electives and 2-day electives where the students from 5th through 8th grade are able to choose 4 slots. So they have 4 different electives they can choose compared to last year where they only had 2 that they can choose. So we did per semester. We did increase the offerings that they could choose plus the actual classes. We expanded into our reading enrichment and our math enrichment classes to help students who struggle in those areas, to give them that extra boost. We added in STEM, and we took drama from a club and put it as an elective. Creative writing as well is in there as a class for any of those kids who just want to write. They have that option. And then we increased band to a full 5-day band. So if you sign up for band, that is one of your slots, which has been tremendous for Mr. Smith. He's loving having the kids 5 days a week. So excited to hear the December concert. And then art is keeping a 2-year rotation. So the classes will rotate every semester. It'll be 2 in the spring and 2 in the fall. So right now, ceramics and sculpture, but then in semester 2, she'll bring back printing and painting and drawing. So those are like the year courses. And then we expanded some in the PE department as far as units. One of the ones that just is finishing up is the mountain biking. So the students got out on the trails. Any questions about any of the elective offerings that we clean up?
I did want to add to this too. So you have that unique space where your middle school are secondary certified. We have transcripts ready for English to be able to give 9th grade credit, assuming that the entering district that they choose to go to accepts it. With the math curriculum, we'll be asking to do the same thing and adding math to that curriculum. But these are all also designated curriculum and under each of the teachers' certification areas. So that's another thing that Kingsbury does different, where they have, instead of a self-contained elementary teacher where you have to be with the same teacher a minimum of 51%, you guys are changing classes and it looks a lot more like high school, but that comes with the electives too. So these are within their areas of certification and areas of opportunity for our students to grow. So just want to make sure that that connection was there.
And I do want to add, apologies for not including it on the semester 1. We also have econ, computer science, and book club is still around. So apologies, those 3 weren't added on there. So semester 2 is last year.
Yeah.
It's just to compare it from what we had last year to this year. We'll start conversations for semester 2 within the next week. And looking at the schedule and talking to students and seeing what classes are favorites and not favorites.
Sandy had asked for a comparison of how we've grown the electives. This is kudos to the teachers.
The
They have
teachers.
really driven this conversation and conversations with students. So they made some different consolation changes in order to make this happen. But you hear the passion from
Mhm.
the teachers in these areas come out. Absolutely. It's
Should, part of the reason we're able to do this was that fortunately our enrollment is far below our cap. Let's imagine that our enrollment increases. How do we maintain this level of electives?
That's a fantastic question. It also comes with how Kingsbury has hired their middle school teachers with their certification. The answer is that this gives us room to grow to the capped out enrollment in all those grades and still offer these. So this is like future perfect for that increased enrollment amount and still being able to offer that. And that's because we have, subject area certified in middle school.
That's good to know.
Mhm.
Thank you for that. Superintendent, well, I think, is there any other?
No, any questions for me? Oh, we didn't go over enrollment. Sorry. We we'll go over enrollment now. There has been just a few changes in enrollment. Kindergarten, we have dropped down to 40, so we're at our cap. And then third grade, we dropped down to 45 from 46. These two students, separate families, were on a wait list for St. Joe's and they got accepted. So that's where they've gone for that. And then next week, we will lose a family of two students, one of them in second grade and one in seventh. They just can't continue the long distance drive from home to school.
And they're outside of our busing.
They are. Yeah.
ring. Mhm.
And the rest of the numbers are steady. So total, with those 4 students leaving, we would be at 331. And we've already had conversations with replacements in 3rd and 5th grade right now. And we're still getting emails almost daily about our enrollment in our school.
And that would be for filling seats.
For now.
This year.
Uh-huh.
Yes.
not waiting to-
Yep, correct.
Yep.
You're required to, if you have space in your enrollment, to review those applications. But this is also an opportunity to continue growth going into spring. So
Any additional questions or any questions from the field?
Trunk or treat is Friday, right?
It is on Friday. Yep.
Okay.
Yep. We're starting it at 5:30. Oh, a map for us. Okay. Yeah. Yeah, that is this Friday. Yeah. Yes. We need some more trunks.
yes.
Oh, good. Good. Got a good boost there. Good, good.
And the color walk.
Yep. The color walk is on Halloween in the morning, and then it'll be class parties in the afternoon. So it'll be a nice fun day for everybody. So stick around. Don't leave after the color walk.
Any other questions? Okay. To the superintendent.
So under communications, we had some families after our recent communication regarding an incident with a former staff member. We did work very collectively and make sure that we got communication out when we could with the information that we knew at the time. A lot of very appreciative feedback about the transparency in that and the timeliness of it. But we also had some families come back with some questions about how to talk to their children and what does this look like for conversations more at home. Some asked about, what types of conversations would happen in school, and we don't have those conversations regarding this incident with children. But we did get in touch with Care House, and that is a local nonprofit. They're a child advocacy center. And they said after we'd been in communication with them throughout the incident and later found out through our parent feedback that there was kind of some themes that we saw. And so they were working with Nikki and they're willing to come out. And so we sent a survey out in our last newsletter, just saying if you have questions regarding how to talk to your kids, signs to look for, those types of things that we had heard in our emails. as well as anything else, these trusted professionals will come out and meet with the group. So I think we have 10,
Yeah.
about 10 families so far interested, and they'll work with however many. So we're going to work and schedule something with them in the evening. It is an adults only because they're conversations for families to potentially have within their household. It's not in regards to the incident. It's really, bless you, it's really in regards to some of those questions that came up. So they're going to come and talk to parents about if they're interested. So any families who haven't filled out that survey, it would be great if they would, so that we can better make sure that the number of support people from that institution arrive to meet the needs of the community. At a certain point, they do break off and they do separate sessions. If there are more than, so they like to keep some of the groups kind of smaller. So at a certain point, they would want to have a second person out here if the group exceeded a particular number. The state budget was approved, as Brian said, at $10.50 per student. So excited about that. We had budgeted at $10,000 per student. There is that acknowledgement that that one-time charter school amount of money, that bucket that was provided last year, that is gone. It's not included in this next budget. They've got some increase in at-risk funding. So that's 31A, that's state funding. So we're awaiting what that number, what those allocation numbers will be, but 25% is a pretty big increase. We don't have a high population of at-risk, but it matters. We often fund our support staff, our interventionists, with that money. So, and then there's additional money coming in for school safety and mental health. We've had 31AA for the past few years. This one coming out, there's some interesting language attached to it, that there's many legal counsels, not your own, but across the state, that are looking into it. We may see some type of amendment at the state that addresses the language within that. But essentially, if you accept that money, they would allow a third party, should there be a mass casualty incident, to be able to come in, read anything with the legal counsel like that. You would waive that right for confidentiality with legal counsel. That's some of the language attached to that. So that's why there's some questions regarding that. And then continuation of Great Start to Readiness program. That's the state funded 4-year-old preschool. So there's some additional pieces in there. We are under a federal shutdown right now. We are still seeing that money come through. It was prepaid to ISD. So you're still seeing that money in the next 2 months or so. You may start, if this continues, you may start to see an actual fiscal impact, because that money won't have been received by other agencies. So we will definitely be keeping you up to date on that as that comes, but nothing in the very forefront of our position that we're really worried about. You also have a healthy fund balance to be able to maintain. So if there was a lapse and they paid us later, your board would be able to cover that. Brian is here, so I won't touch on our third grade position is now filled. So we're excited about that. We did have a transition as well. So we have a new bus driver, and Jeff is transitioning so that he can be full-time maintenance and custodial. And that was an area that we drastically needed to adjust. It filled the time for a little bit, and now we have a sub bus driver on staff all the time. So that's fantastic, but it will help us get caught up on some of the cleaning that's needed to be done. We had an environmental leaders meeting on the 15th, focused around student center coaching. And so that's that process where you're getting in and giving feedback to teachers, but it's not around their practices. It's about what the students are, what their engagement, what their understanding. And so having conversations with teachers, coaching cycles that help focus on that we will be adding an instructional coach within the way that our organization structure is. So not about adding a person, it's about potentially just kind of redistributing. You are required to have a literacy coach. And so that's what we're looking at. So, and then we had team talks for professional development for our special ed, talking about student outcomes. So focusing on not that just our students have IEPs, but truly looking at their goals and then where their outcomes are as related to general ed students. And then not on here, but we have our conference that Nikki was stating on November 3rd. That will be hosted at New Branches Charter Academy. It's in Grand Rapids. But we have a ton of outside vendors that are going to be coming in. So we've got about 15 of them. People are still calling us wanting to be a part of our conference. We don't have any more room to add more people, but that's exciting that our conference has grown. So this is our third one that we've had for just the 4 environmental schools. But really excited that we are not even reaching out to some of these. They're just partners that we work with on a regular basis. So the advisory committee that met this summer did a fantastic job of sharing all the people, the partners that they work with. And we then reached out to some of them and vice versa. So really excited about that. And then there's one on the back. There is a Title VI report there that came out, in April last year, requesting that all school boards sign off that they will abide by the Title VI rulings. And we held on to that for a bit for legal counsel to review. We do anticipate that this is regarding your enrollment practices, your staffing practices, whether or not it takes into account essentially the 2020 reading on DEI and how students, how we recognize students and how we teach things. And so just in looking through, as we were getting to know you as well, just looking through everything, we don't see any reason at this point to not certify, saying that you do meet those requirements. At that time, it was a lot and we were given like a couple days. I know legal said, hold off, we are not interested. But I did ask Jody if she might reach out to Amy. At this point, she had said that it would be in the school's interest to follow whatever they felt was necessary. I don't anticipate that you're accurate. You're just signing off on it. But at some point they do say that there could be a tie to federal funds. And so just want to make sure that we revisit that. I can definitely certify at any point, but I wanted to give you that language.
And again, this was the board, council did look over this, before giving the okay for this to be submitted. They should say that the federal funding could be withheld if they decide to go that route. My understanding is also it is still sort of in flux and possibly being challenged in other
All over the
areas.
place it is
So-
being challenged. It's also going potentially to an email of people that are no longer, what they've split up the Department of Education and push some of those layoffs out. So we don't necessarily know where it's going to go, but you were given such a short amount of time to take action. And so just wanted to bring that back up to the board.
Thank you for that.
Yep.
Anybody have anything for Ally at this point? Thank you. When you talk about the care house, I wanted to just point families that is in the current newsletter you
Correct.
sent out.
Correct.
So
Yep.
if you're wondering where to find that, sign up if you are interested. It should be in your email. If you don't have it, please reach out to
Yeah.
the school because we
Yes.
don't want you to miss that opportunity. No date has been set for that.
We're looking
yet.
for the next 2 weeks timeframe to have
Okay.
them come out, but not a firm date yet.
Okay, and I'm making an assumption here, but would it be an evening? that
It
you
would be an
looking
evening.
at?
Yep, I've asked for like a 6 o'clock.
Okay. And then again, try to sign up if that's something that you think that you might be interested in attending so that we can get the right amount of people from Care House present
Yep.
to concerns, questions, just
And it is adult only. They wanted to emphasize that that's why
Yes.
we're looking at 6 o'clock. So there's time to eat and come back.
and Care House, that's the Oakland County
Yes.
Advocacy Center, correct?
Yes.
They're fantastic. Yeah, reached out. They have a wide variety of resources. So
Anybody have anything else? I just want to say yay again, I'm a third grade teacher. Anybody else?
Yes.
I know, so excited. And if I may ask, and I know this came under Nikki's, but how did our kindergarten teachers, did they volunteer to present at that environmental?
They did.
conference, Or?
Yeah.
So cute.
Over our summer leadership team, we started talking about the conference and they're like, we want to present. What can we do? And in June, they started having ideas and they put their hats in the
That's so good.
thing.
Yeah, the advisory team, which is comprised of people who have attended all of our other schools, go to the National Green Schools Conference. They share, they send a couple staff every year. And so that's a requirement of our schools, is that if they go to green schools, they have to be on our advisory team because we expect them to continue pouring into the environmental mission of their schools. And Kingsbury had several staff that wanted to join and have like poured into it, and the excitement and energy that they brought and expertise. It's not a surprise that they reached out and quickly wanted to volunteer. So
Yeah.
appreciate
That's
them for
great.
doing that.
So is there any need or anybody requesting a closed session today? Okay, moving on to the extended public comments section. This is the time where I recognize all of the faces here, so I ask that in your comments, if you do choose to speak, be respectful, responsible, and safe in the words that you choose. And with that, there is a 3 minutes time limit. I will here. Thank you. There is a 3 minute. I want to please introduce yourself. And this time I would call for any public comment. All that can be seen on the live stream is us. We're looking at funny faces. Time.
A lot of money for the school. For what?
It's not, but there were some stipulations put using that. So that came from a federal Supreme Court ruling that targeted really post-secondary institutions, but it's regarding DEI work, so diversity, equity, and inclusion, that your hiring practices aren't done in such a way that recognizes diversity, equity, and inclusion, but also in recognition or support that you're not outwardly teaching those main components within your school curriculum.
He didn't show his name.
He did not.
What do you think?
You didn't say your name.
Thank you, Ms. Randy. Is there any further or any additional public comments at this time? All right, hearing no public comments. The next regular board meeting is 6 p.m. November 17th. I look forward to seeing everybody.
So moved.
Dora moves. Is there a second? Second. Mike seconds. Is there any further discussion about adjourning? If not, all those in favor, please say aye. Aye. Any opposition? You say nay. Hearing no opposition, we are concluded at 7:36 p.m.
Dinner.
Thank you very much, everybody, for your attendance, and hopefully the
you.
live stream went well for our.
It is now.